And good day to all of you wonderful viewers out there. Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's play-back-to-back movie reviews. And I have been waiting almost 2 years after buying this shirt to finally put it on for specific reasons to watching the Batman out in theaters, and now having to come in here and talking about it finally. As you all well know, I am a huge Batman fan, and you're probably asking yourself the question is, this movie came out almost a week ago, and yet there is no review out just yet. Well, believe me, I have my reasons. I mean, one, I'm a human, I have a life, so having to watching movies, even though it is my life and I love talking about them, apparently they don't pay the bills. So I'm always living the busy life. So whatever available time that I ever do find, I use it to my advantage to talk amongst all of you wonderful viewers about awesome movies. And I think I'm going to continue this review without this mask. I thought I could do it, but apparently wearing this mask is very uncomfortable. So let's go ahead and take this baby off. Much better. Put on my little spectacles and continue on with this review. So the Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, the same dude that brought us Cloverfield, the first Cloverfield movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Did I love every single one of those movies? Absolutely. But when it comes to the Batman, is a whole other story. Because yes, I did get to go and watch this movie on Friday, opening day, and I was very much looking forward to it. It is one of my anticipated movies of this year. I did buy tickets for it in advance, as soon as I could possible. Did I have doubts about this movie? I have not. I really had a lot of positive feelings towards this movie to being such a great success. I've loved every single Batman movie that is out there, including the ones that people find tremendously terrible. But when it comes to the Batman, I mean, I don't like to compare, but it helps to define and explain exactly what it is that I'm coming from, what I'm talking about. For example, the Batman, Bruce Wayne, this time played by Robert Pattinson. As you all well know, when I first found out about this announcement, immediately I was so against it. I said, no freaking way. I do not want this guy to be Batman. I was so already attached to the acceptances of Ben Affleck as our new Batman, and him having to quit and passing on the mantle to Robert Pattinson. Really? Edward from Twilight? Yes, I was one of those people. But then I came to thinking, well, we had the same feeling against Michael Keaton playing Batman, and yet now he is one of the most favorable Batmans out there, and including Ben Affleck as well too, had the same negative remarks against his casting, and yet now he is also one of the most favorable Batmans out there. And so here we are now with Robert Pattinson casted as our new Batman. Not a part of the DCEU, but more of the Batman its own extended universe. It's not connected at all whatsoever to Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash. None of that. None of that is connected. This is all just Batman's world. And it could be more than just a single film, or to a trilogy, or even to just an extended universe of its own personal persona. The world of Gotham and all of its characters and criminals and heroes and villains. It's just so much does happen in the Batman world that it can be its own extended universe. So I'm very fond of that idea, because that's what happened with Spider-Man. Spider-Man, it's doing its same thing, extending its own universe, and just like Spider-Man, you know, they never really explain or give us any specific detail to its origin story. That's what the Batman does too. We already know what happens to the Wayne parents. We already know that Bruce Wayne, he goes through everything, all this trauma, and building himself up into becoming the Batman. This movie is based off of the second year of him being Batman. So Gotham is very well aware. He's already teamed up with Commissioner Gordon. Actually, it's Lieutenant Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, which is amazing, by the way. I love it how these two are just buddy cops throughout the movie. It was very great. I loved it. And how they go off and solve these riddles from the new threat of Gotham City. That is the Riddler, played by Paul Dano. And the character is not even called Edward Nygma, but Edward Nashton. So it's very weird in how they are, as to no reason why, they explain why the name is just so different compared to the comic book name. But Paul Dano, oh my goodness. Yes, he does a phenomenal job as the Riddler. Even because they don't really market his face in any of the trailers or posters or anything. You don't really get to see Paul Dano because he's wearing the mask throughout the entire marketing. And the mask is just, it's really great. Normally we're used to like what Jim Carrey brought to us back in '95 in Batman Forever, with all the question marks and the question mark hat and the cane and everything like that. But this is a different kind of Riddler because this world is grounded. It's very earthbound. In a way, that's what the Nolan movies did as well too, but this one feels much more grounded. This literally feels like something like this were to occur in our modern day world. This can happen now, this can happen tomorrow. So I love how everything just seems so realistic, having it being a superhero film based off of my own favorite superheroes of all time. And then you get Catwoman, Selina Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. I wasn't really into the idea of Zoe Kravitz playing our modern day Catwoman, but after seeing her performance in this, I literally felt like she was the Catwoman pulled out of the pages of the comic books and brought into the big screen. Yes, Michelle Pfeiffer did an awesome job. She is the most favorable one. Not really Halle Berry. And then we had Anne Hathaway, which is also a great Catwoman. But Zoe Kravitz, oh my goodness, she did an amazing job. I loved her performance, and the love romance that goes on between Catwoman and Batman was something that I was really looking forward to ever since '92's Batman Returns with Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer, because I just loved that chemistry between the two. And in this movie, it's not as great. It is not as great as Keaton and Pfeiffer's love chemistry of the two characters, but it is great. I really did enjoy the chemistry and the way that they interacted with each other, the way that they worked together. You can really tell that these two are of the same people, that they have a lot in common, and that you could feel the sexual tension between the two whenever they do fight amongst each other, or when they work together, or in any way, in any interaction that occurs into the movie. I mean, it was just phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal, oh my goodness, Penguin, which is not, he's identified as Penguin, but is also called Oz, which is short for Oswald Cobblepot, played by Colin Farrell. Now listen, I knew it was Colin Farrell, but when you see the way that he has, really portrayed this character into the movie, you're just like, holy cow. You can't even tell that it is Colin Farrell. You can feel the way that this character is just the Penguin. I mean, I'm all about Danny DeVito's Penguin. That is my favorite Penguin. But this one really takes it to a whole other scale. Colin Farrell did a phenomenal job. So good that this character is getting its own HBO Max series. That's great. Just like what happened with Peacemaker, we're getting the same thing with the HBO Max series, and it will be in an R-rated terms. And believe me, the prosthetics were fantastic. I loved the way that the Penguin looked. I'm so used to the whole, like how we all know the Penguin to be, and even Colin Farrell just begged the film creators to please add on to the character a cigar, but that really took away their chances of staying away from the rated R scale. That really would have avoided a lot more of the audiences to go and watching this movie. So I would have loved to have seen it, and I think that they're going to add that to his character in that HBO Max series. Then you get Alfred, that's played by Andy Serkis. I'm not really fond of this Alfred. I just don't feel like it was Alfred. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to all of our recent ones. They feel much more Alfredish than this one. I believe maybe because this Alfred didn't have that much screen time, and there is a certain scene that happens during the movie where he gets seriously injured, making it look like he got killed off, but just seriously injured in the hospital. And I don't like the way that him and Bruce Wayne actually interact with each other. I don't feel that whole father and son vibe between the two. Even though Bruce Wayne brings it up to Alfred's attention about how much he's not his father and he can't tell him what to do and this and that. And this, by the way, this Alfred is one of those Alfreds that is an ex-military agent and trains Bruce Wayne on how to fight. And so on and so forth, which, by the way, I'm going to have to say, the choreography, wow, the choreography is just mind-blowing. I just love the fighting skills that Catwoman does, that Batman does, the way that he waves his cape. It's just fantastic. I loved it. There's a lot of other things about this movie that I really don't like, but I'll bring them up later on. But right now, it's just about the good stuff. You get Carmine Falcone, played by John Turturro. He does have not a huge role into this movie, but a connection to one of the characters, which is Catwoman's character, and is revealed into the movie being Selina's father. That's something that I'm not really into the understanding of why. I don't really see the reason why. I hate when someone is always related to somebody else, and it really just makes the whole world much more smaller. So things like that I always try to avoid. I really don't like and how they continuously try to make everyone so relative and so connected. I'm just like, why can't we just have just characters interacting with each other and not have any blood-related connections? So that's something that always really bothered me. Then you get Gil Coulson, which is played by Peter Sarsgaard. Whoa, man! I really did like this character. He's just one of those people that is trying to help with the city, but really behind closed doors is a completely other character. Someone in the underground world. That just tells you how much this city is just corrupted, and is one of the very reasons why the Riddler is doing the things that he's doing in this movie. The motives of the Riddler is very overwhelming for me. That's something that really takes me off guard. When everything is revealed as to why he's doing the things that he's doing, in some way he is trying to be like the Batman because he is inspired by the Batman for what he's doing. So in a way, the Riddler he does things and takes it to a whole other direction. And because of that, I Am Vengeance that's mentioned in the trailers and the marketing, the villain reveals himself as Vengeance as well. And that opens Batman's eyes into believing that, wow, what I am doing is not the right thing to do. I need to start changing something, because what I'm doing is creating more of a massacre. So I love the fact on how that just completely opens up his eyes and shows the world of Gotham that he is not someone for other criminals to fear, but to give hope for. So instead of bringing fear to the people of the city, he brings hope to those that will believe in him as their savior, their protector, their hero. One thing that I really did love about the way this Batman is has been made is how he uses the shadows. The shadows like a horror element. Not only shining the bat signal up into the sky to alert all the criminals in the city that the Batman is out there and he's lurking in the shadows, and he could be right there, right in front of you right now. And that brings fear into the not just the criminals of the city, but to everybody who is out there into the city and watching the shadows, assuming that the Batman is just in there watching them right then and there. So I really did love that he uses that and says that I am the shadows. So that's just fantastic. I really do love on how the way he brings the way the Batman is as like a freaking boogeyman. I mean, I just like that very much. The riddles are confusing in this because there's times where the riddles are announced, and there's times where me as the audience would love to enjoy to try and figure this out with the Batman, because the Batman, yes, shows that he's very smart, and once when he does receive that riddle, he immediately finds out what the answer is to what the Riddler's asking. And I'm just thinking, dude, can you give me a chance to think about this? Because, you know, it's fun trying to figure out these riddles. And you try to figure them out immediately. It doesn't even give me a chance to enjoy them and discover them with you. Because this is what this movie is. It is a detective story. It is what Batman really is. I mean, come on. It comes from DC Comics, Detective Comics. I mean, what more could you ask for? But the way that the detective storyline felt in this movie, I gotta say, I was bored. I was very bored, and that's one of the things that really drew me off. Because I had a very busy Friday that day, and great to end it off with going to the movie theaters and watching the movie. So I don't know if it is because I was ridiculously tired and falling asleep because of my entire day, or it was the fact that the movie was legitimately boring. I want to go and watch this movie again, just so maybe I could probably change my thinking on how I felt about the film. But my first interaction is what I'm giving you now. I haven't watched it again, but I watched it only once, and I'm letting you know how I felt the very first, my very first impressions to the film. You know, and even with it, when the movie first starts, the opening, you know, it just get flashes Warner Brothers, then DC Comics, then the Batman, and I'm just like, that doesn't really feel very Batman. It just feels like rushed. Like, okay, let's get rid of this part already and get you guys into the movie. You know, I love what the Nolan movies do. You know, they slow it down. They give you, you know, like the score that Hans Zimmer develops, along with the very imagery identifying what this movie is going to be all about in the shape of the bat symbol. I love that. It really brings me in and lures me into being very interested in what this movie has in store for us. But then there's this narrative going on. You know, Bruce Wayne is narrating in this movie, and it makes me feel so much. It makes me feel so much like what's her name, Kristen Stewart from the Twilight movies, who did the same thing in the movie Underwater, doing this whole narrative thing going on at the beginning of the movie, then at the end of the movie, and I'm like thinking, and then it also felt very Watchmen, which I actually liked, with Rorschach narrating in the movie, saying, "Oh, it's Thursday, October 22nd, and I'm doing this, this, and that, and, you know, the city is this, this, and this." You know, and like, okay, that feels very Rorschach. I don't really feel it being too much Bruce Wayne-ish Batman. because he's documenting everything. He's writing everything down as to what he did last night with this criminal and that. And like, I don't really think Batman would do that. Because honestly, why would you write everything down when you have these really cool camera lenses that you're... I love how he walks into a crime scene along with all the cops. And even though the cops are not very fond of him and don't want him there, you know, I love that him looking around very slowly and, you know, trying to do some detective work. At the same time, he's recording with his camera lenses. And later on, you know, just he takes a second look back at the Batcave, which is not even a Batcave. It's like an abandoned subway station. And I thought that was very weird. I always was more fond of the actual Batcave underneath Wayne Manor, which is not... And speaking of the Wayne Manor, I didn't even like this apartment-looking mansion that he had. Looked very gothic. Looked very underworldish. It didn't feel so very down to earth. It just, like, I don't know, it felt way too overscale. But yeah, I don't know. It's just another great thing about this is that, you know, like the Batmobile. Oh my goodness, when I saw the Batmobile for the first time in one of the images that they had released, I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact it was a muscle car. It looked very much something like Vin Diesel would drive in a Fast and Furious movie. But then after seeing it in this one, I'd have to take it all back and say, this is by far one of the really great Batmobiles of our time. You know, it looked so great, so memorable, and the car chasing of Batman chasing after the Penguin on this, the freeway chase scene. It just a great chase scene, really, really great. And what a fantastic Batmobile that they had invented. Because remember, this is only Batman's year 2, so he's still in development on being, molding himself into being the Batman that we actually do know. So there are some flaws with this Batman, that he's not fully out there as the original Batman that we all know about. He's still building himself up. Like this in particular scene where he gets himself blown off and goes unconscious and is taken into the police station, which, by the way, I did not believe at all whatsoever. They had so many chances to unmask him and reveal that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and never did it until that moment when he wakes up, when they try to unmask him. I'm like, you had so many chances, and yet you completely just ignored it and decided to do it right when he wakes up to where he can fight back against you. I'm assuming maybe because Lieutenant Gordon was fighting back these officers, and I just love how they just gain up on Batman in there in that cell. And this is funny. I saw this scene before I saw the movie. Out of nowhere, I didn't know what this scene was all about. All I just see is Batman punching Gordon in the face, and then runs away, running down the hallway of the police station. And I'm like, what is going on here? I was just laughing. I'm just like, why are you hitting Gordon for? It was just funny. Out of nowhere, he just punches him. And I was like, okay, and runs away. All right. It was just way too funny. Then when he escapes the police station, is that the shot that they were taking of him on top of a building wearing this, I don't know, this winged squirrel suit that he fastens up into and jumps off a building. And yeah, it looks great. I don't like it. I really did like on how they did it with the Nolan movies. It felt very Batman-ish. This one felt very like a flying squirrel for me. But like, I try to remind myself that this is Batman year 2. This is not an official Batman just yet. And then crash lands, even though he had a parachute, crash lands and injures himself. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. I understand. I keep telling myself, Batman year 2, Batman year 2, Batman year 2. This is not an official Batman. But I do have to give it to the suit. The suit does look great. The chest piece is not what people were expecting, thinking that it was made out of the gun of the criminal, whoever it was that killed off his parents when he was a kid. No, it's not the actual gun. It's not even the gun at all. It's just a built-in bat knife that he pulls out during one of the scenes of the movie to cut off an electric cable. So I'm glad that they went ahead and used it as a little tool rather than it just being a logo on his chest. So it was great that he got to use that. Phenomenal. The suit was just so good. It felt so very armorish. It felt very bulletproof. Yes, he does go against a lot of guns, and I'm like thinking maybe because Robert Pattinson does have a really great jawline, very Batman-ish, but it's just so wide open. And I'm like thinking to the criminals, it's like you got the whole entire mouthpiece just wide open. Why aren't you shooting at the mouth? I mean, that's if I was Batman, I'm like thinking, oh my god, the mouth. Like, what if somebody just thinks about it and just decides to shoot me in the mouth? If you shoot me in the mouth, then that's it. It's over. I'm dead. You know. And even the cowl is not very. It doesn't look bulletproof. It looked very rubber, and it looks as though if somebody were to shoot him in the head, I think that's it, man. You're dead. But he takes a lot of shots in, all around the suit, and that suit, even though it still looks like it hurts, but he's still built enough to where he could fight against that. So great, very great, and I'm glad that they don't use the deep voice in this Batman. Instead, he's whispering. I like that. I like that a little bit better. It very much reminds me of the Michael Keaton kind of voice. Michael Keaton's portrayal of Batman was just more quiet than having to speak in a whispering voice. But this Bruce Wayne, about 75 to 80% of the film, you get to see Batman. The whole entire movie is almost just Batman, and the rest, 20% or whatnot, is Bruce Wayne, and he's very serious. Here I am again saying it's Batman year 2. Excuse me. I just had dinner right now. But yeah, it's just Batman year 2. Batman year 2. Right now he's just a broken Bruce Wayne developing himself into being Batman, and him being the majority of Batman in this movie is his true self. Batman was born when his parents died in that hallway. Bruce Wayne died at that very moment when his parents died in that alleyway. So this is Batman. This, it's the whole thing with Bruce Wayne is all just a mask. So, and I love that idea, and I love what they used here. And I mean, it's been used before, but it's great that they went ahead and put this in here, and including the fact that this isn't a Batman that goes off killing people. That's his number one rule, just like the Nolan movies, which I'm really fond of. No killing. So he brings that up in one of the scenes with Lieutenant Gordon, and he tells him, no killing, no guns. And Gordon says, well, that's your thing, man. For me, I gotta carry a gun. If someone's gonna shoot at me, I'm gonna shoot right back at him and kill him. If I kill him, I kill him. So, and yeah, and we all know that the Riddler does get caught eventually in this coffee shop, and in the entire third act, he doesn't show up. Instead, it's brought into these his followers on social media that I don't know. And there's this great flood that happens where he blasts off the lake walls and the water falls in as a criminalistic metaphor of cleansing the city into becoming anew. I'd understand that, but I don't know. I just felt like there needed to be more to the third act than the way that it was brought to us in this movie. The cinematography is just brilliant. So good. I really did love the cinematography. Very awesome. Just the way, and I felt like it was Batman that I was looking at. But like I said, the movie felt boring with all the detective stuff going on. It felt very slow. There was, this movie was up to 3 hours long, and you can feel those 3 hours. I've seen movies that were 3 hours, and there's times where I feel fully entertained enough to where those 3 hours passed by in a quick flash, and it didn't even feel like it more than it just felt like a simple hour. But when it comes to the ending of the movie, there are no mid or end credit scenes other than just a question mark flashing, telling itself goodbye. Just the little things saying that the Riddler is saying bye, but with a question mark saying he might be back. So we'll see what happens there. But there's this scene that happens in the movie that feels like it should have been a post or mid-credit scene. because they already have plans for making a sequel or even a trilogy for that matter, because of their complete faith in this, making it 3 hours long. For me, like I said, not necessary. If anything, you could have lost a good hour. I mean, there was just so much in this movie that felt very slow. Even when I saw, what is it, War for the Planet of the Apes, it felt very slow. It felt very quiet. It could even have been boring, but it was actually entertaining. And this one, I just did not feel that same thing, even though it was the same aspects of what that movie brought us. It just wasn't capturing my attention in the fullest that I would have expected. But coming back to the ending of the movie, there's this scene where the Riddler is having a conversation with his cellmate, his next door cellmate, and this voice is none other than actor Barry Keoghan, and he played one of the characters in the Eternals movie, and he looked very villainous. He looked like somebody who could have been the villain in that movie, but apparently not. But here he is playing an upcoming villain, something that I already knew was going to happen. Nothing really spoiled it for me. I just already expected it to happen, because how can you forget a character such as this in a Batman world? But I wanted it to be forgotten, at least for a certain amount of time, just to give us a refreshment, give us new development of characters that we haven't seen before in a cinematic Batman movie. You know, either like Clayface, Man-Bat, Scarface, Mad Hatter. I mean, just there's so many of them out there. We are getting Firefly for the first time, played by Brendan Fraser in the Batgirl HBO Max movie. But I want to see something new. And yet here we are again, the Joker. Why the Joker? I mean, I think that in a way it kind of felt like, because he's friending with the Riddler, thinking, okay, maybe they're developing something. I mean, something that I'm missing, because maybe he won't be coming in the sequel, but maybe in the third or fourth film. You know, showing him teaming up with a whole mass of villains going up against Batman, like the Sinister Six with the Spider-Man movie. I don't know. That's what it's referring to. But this Joker, even though you don't get to see his full, complete face, you do hear the voice. It doesn't sound very Jokerish, but you can already tell that this is Joker due to the fact that his face is all scarred up, and not white, not green hair, but you see the grin of his smile poking up to the top of his cheek, and it looked very creepy. I'm like thinking, I wonder what this Joker really looks like up face to face, and you know, it looked very creepy just seeing from the door window, just half of his face. So, and then you hear the laughing of the Joker. Didn't feel very Jokerish either. I feel like that's something that they really need to adjust to making better if this Joker ever does return back along with the Riddler. So, but yeah, that was something I did not want to happen, and it happened again. There's just too many Jokers going on. I know that we had the great success of Heath Ledger's Joker that happened, and then everyone assumed that Jared Leto was going to be awesome, but it really wasn't. They just love the love chemistry with him and Harley Quinn, and then we get the very favorable also with Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker, and I'm just like, okay, now we're getting another Joker, Barry Keoghan, and I'm just like, wow, can we just either deal with one Joker or no Joker at all? Do we have to have 4 or 5 different ones? I mean, come on, calm the hell down. I mean, I know the Joker is a very favorable character. Awesome, that's great. But can we just live in a Batman world with, you know, just Batman dealing with other villains that we've never seen before cinematically? That's what I want to see. And even though the villain names that I brought up are not very grounded, down-to-earth kind of villains, but, you know, maybe like Mad Hatter would be much more interesting, or Scarface, or, you know, any one of those kinds. But let's stop with the, I mean, I hear that they're actually thinking about doing a Mr. Freeze for a sequel, making them very grounded. I don't know how they're going to do that, but with the freezing gun, but I would love to see Mr. Freeze. Really, really love to see Mr. Freeze if there is the Batman sequel. It is something definitely I would love to see in a sequel to the Batman that has nothing to do with the Joker. Like I said, I love the Joker, but give Joker a break. Put the spotlight on another villain for us Batman fans to admire so much. But anyways, you guys, I've mumbled my mouth off so much in relation to this movie. I tried to say all the great things about this and all the bad things, but here I am right now letting you guys know that Rotten Tomatoes went ahead and gave this movie an 85%, and I'm not surprised. I know that a lot of people love this movie. I know a lot of people are saying that this is the best Batman movie ever made, in regards to The Dark Knight and all that, but for me, I actually thought that the movie was actually at a more lower scale, and within my time after watching the movie and talking to everyone now, I had to decide how I felt about it and what percentage I was going to give it. So, Rotten Tomatoes at 85%. And then when it comes to me, Awesome Joe, I give it a 53. Yes, it is a very low, but I try to keep it to where it was a very satisfying percentage, because honestly, I did not like the movie. I did not like the movie the way that I really wish I would have, because of the detective thing. It's just so slow, so boring, and plus the fact I feel like honestly, as much as I want to go and watch it again, I really don't want to go watch it again, because it's 3 hours long, and I don't really feel like I have the time to be watching a 3 hour long movie unless if I were to be watching it here at my home, which, by the way, I was told that in the next 45 days, which I believe it'll be mid-April, we'll be getting the Batman debuting on HBO Max. So maybe I'll watch it then. But as of now, I've watched it. I've talked to you guys about it, and I've let you know how I felt, the good and the bad. So that's my review for the Batman, everybody. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find it boring? Did you find it exciting? If you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section below, and let's have an awesome time talking about this movie or any movie that you like to talk about in general, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews. Don't forget to click on that like and subscribe button there, everybody. I really do appreciate everybody's support in my channel. It is a huge personal hobby of mine, and I love to share it amongst all of you wonderful viewers out there. So once more again, I'm Awesome Joe. Keep on living the dream, and as always, stay awesome. Thanks, you guys, once more again, and I don't know what my next project will be, but I know that there's always a movie out there just waiting to be reviewed. So stay tuned, and there's more to come, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Bye.